We are live. This is Repticart Mike, and I have with me right over here Jessel Neves. Is that correct?
Yep.
Nevis. Okay. And he is a reptile specialist. We are at the Orlando Repticon, July 2020. And this is his card right here. And so tell a little bit about what do you specialize in. I've seen you at a lot of Repticon shows.
Yeah, absolutely. I work with a lot of gecko species, a lot of New Caledonian geckos, crested geckos, gargoyle geckos. I do some Chinese cave geckos, leopard geckos, fat-tailed geckos, and then snake-wise, I do a lot of boas.
A lot of boas.
Yeah.
Now, when I was over at your booth, I saw a lot of bearded dragons there. Is that just something you do on the side? Or?
Oh, we just started getting into bearded dragons, so we're having a couple clutches hatch out and kind of seeing how
that goes.
To them. Yeah, I haven't. The last couple shows that we've done, I haven't seen too many people with beardies.
Right.
So we're gonna give it a go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, it seems like the bearded dragons are either a lot or
none,
hardly any.
Yep.
It's there's nowhere in between.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what the goal is here is, and we're testing this out, is the goal with Repticart is you and I are going to be talking. He's the breeder right here. How long have you been doing this?
I've been breeding reptiles probably about 9 years now.
About 9 years?
Yep.
And so you guys out there are going to be able to see the breeder that is actually responsible for the creation of this animal right here. And eventually we're going to have text. So people who are watching this will be able to ask you questions.
Oh, that's very cool.
And then, we'll be talking. You'll ask it and say, okay, Repticon Joe, whatever, is asking this. So what I want to test out right now is the ability to get a better shot of the animal. So let's do this. I'm going to go to a different right here. And I guess instead of me, let's have it on you. And then let's have you talk about this animal that we're looking at on the second camera.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So this is a New Caledonian Gargoyle Gecko. Probably one of the most, right now, probably one of the most popular geckos in the pet trade. Very easy to care for. They thrive in room temp type of conditions, so between 70 and 80 degrees. Feeding wise, they're very popular because you don't have to feed them insects if you don't want to. You could easily maintain them on a meal replacement powder. They make powders with insect protein in it, so if you wanted to feed the insect protein without actually dealing with the insects, the crickets, anything like that, it gives the buyer an option that's weary of dealing with the insects. And I think as far as getting into it, people that are beginning with the reptiles, there's definitely deterrence. Some people don't want to deal with rodents if they're trying to buy a snake. Some people don't want to deal with the crickets. So having a gecko species that you can give them that alternative, give them something that they don't have to maintain. I think it helps when somebody's on the cusp of whether they should get a reptile or not.
How would you describe the personality of this animal?
They're kind of dopey, they're a little bit. They're nocturnal, so when you have them out and they're active, they're I don't know. They're hard to describe. They're jumpy,
right?
They're a little bit spastic, but once you kind of handle them, they do calm down. So handleable, I guess.
Now, can you combine them with other geckos? Are they social, or do they like to be alone?
I would say geckos thrive with solidarity, but this particular species of gecko, if you wanted to keep them in a group, you could do that as long as you provide what they need. If you give them a large enough space, enough food, things like that, places where they can get away from each other, you could get away with keeping them in a group.
Because I saw at your table, you had two geckos sitting on top of each other.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that they seem to be social and they seem to be happy with
I think that. in temporary situations, they can definitely tolerate each other.
Okay.
When you're thinking about housing things together, there's other variables that you have to consider.
So would you not house them together?
I it depends. It depends on the
Depends.
individual. You know,
Okay.
I wouldn't house babies together.
Right.
Babies can tend to pick on each other
Right.
to the point of sometimes leads to death. You know,
Wow.
so you don't obviously you don't want to have a dead gecko.
So what I want to test out here is, let's describe this one gecko that we have right now. And you have a price of $250. So in the future, if you're out there and you wanted to buy this gecko, you'd click a link, you'd buy it, and then I'd give you the money and take it and ship it out. So that's how it's going to be. Let's maybe take the lid off or something and describe what is this, what's special about this particular gecko, the Caledonian gecko. There we go. So that's a nice view right there. And maybe lift it up a little toward the camera. See how good we can get. Oops. That's not bad. So what's special about this fellow right here?
For gargoyle geckos, you have two, I guess, different morphs or different styles. One is the stripe.
Okay.
Obviously, this one is a stripe.
Yeah.
The other is a reticulated, and some of the reticulateds have blotching and stuff like that, so they call those blotches.
Okay.
So this is a striped gargoyle, and you know, some of them have red stripes. This one happens to be a white stripe.
White striped
Yep.
gecko. Okay. And let's switch this one out to the next one.
This one's a better example of some color.
Okay.
This one has a little bit more orange instead of the white.
And I can see that pretty good on the camera. Yeah, it looks great. And is there any way you think you can get the eyes? Because that's what's cool about these guys.
Let's see here.
He doesn't want to let it. There, I see some. So I might need like a second camera or something like that, so they could just zoom in on the eyes.
Absolutely.
There. That is beautiful. Okay, and the price for that gecko is 200 and
this one is 350, and the difference in price because of the color. So this one has the striking orange, where the other one didn't. It is mostly white.
Okay, so $100 difference. And what would you say the lifespan of these geckos are?
Probably say somewhere between 10 and 15 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. With proper care, they can definitely be pretty long-lived. So
now, a lot of people are doing tanks with isopods and the bioactive tanks, springtails. Are you getting into any of that for these animals?
Absolutely. I highly recommend bioactive for any New Caledonian species, really.
Because everything at your table was very moist.
Yep.
So,
these guys thrive with humidity. And in the bioactive enclosures, you know, you have your drainage layer, so that you can hold the water. It proves to be really beneficial for these guys.
So if you're going to get these, create a bioactive environment.
I would. Yeah, if you can feasibly do it, I would absolutely do it.
And it's not hard to do.
No, it's initially, you know, it's putting it together and stuff like that. But once you have a bioactive enclosure, the maintenance is, you know, very minimal.
There. So, sorry guys, I'm just testing out a lot of weird stuff. All right, so on the bioactive, you have the drainage layer, then you have the dirt. Do you use the Atlanta Botanical Garden mix?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then on top of that, to use the leaf litter.
With the gargoyles, I like to give them a little bit of a denser, like an ABG.
Right.
And sometimes I don't use leaf litter for them. So
no leaf litter.
Yeah.
And do you put any of the cork bark on there at all?
They love cork bark.
Okay, so
especially the rounds. If they can climb up into it.
Oh, okay.
That's what they prefer.
And then how often do you mist it?
I mist them daily.
Daily.
Yep.
Okay. And what isopods do you find work well in your?
With gecko species?
Yes.
I like, especially insectivorous ones, I like to use the dwarf species.
Yeah.
Because they don't go after them. And if you start using some of the bigger stuff, they might see it scurrying around.
Would you do a powder orange, or is that too big?
It depends. I mean, I think they might go after something like that.
Okay.
So maybe a dwarf white.
Dwarf white or
purple.
purple.
Like that.
Okay. They're kind of hard to grow.
Yeah.
Hard to see, but And do you also put springtails in there
When I have them,
when you have them?
yeah.
Okay.
Springtails. I mean, as far as a maintenance crew,
Yeah.
in the bioactive,
To eat the mold and the mildew.
absolutely.
Good. All right. So this has been just the test, but it is going out to the world, and we may have one person watch it.
That's all right.
But what do you
Absolutely.
think of the concept so far?
I like it a lot.
It might work.
I think so.
I mean, it's just us talking, and if I could put the tech behind it so somebody can buy it,
Yeah.
and then we can ship it out safely. I mean,
I'm surprised nobody's
doing it yet?
trying it. You know. Or
I
what do you have
think
to lose?
people, they will.
Yeah.
It's getting over that
It's new.
of
too,
fear.
so-
It's new, yeah. And there's a lot to work out. The technology, what I'm finding, I've been looking at this for about 3 months. The technology has evolved so rapidly because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so what we have today, we didn't have 3 months ago. So now's the right
It's
time.
really cool to see.
All right, so we're going to close this out with this is our man Jessel. Pronounce that again.
Jessel Nieves.
Nieves. And where are you from?
Originally from Puerto Rico, but I'm in Newport Richey, Florida.
Oh, okay. And this is. Do you have a website?
No.
Okay.
Just Instagram, Facebook.
The rally.
Yep.
And he's at the. And we'll create a website for you on Repticard as well.
Okay.
And so the way it'll work is we'll have your own store, Repticard, and I'll probably have like another guy as we're showing things. He's going to type in the URLs.
Okay.
So then people, you'll like this. So we'll be able to, that'll be the URL right there, where we'll do
So I'll
that.
be able to see it.
Right.
That's so cool.
And then
I'm surprised more vendors don't want to try.
they will. We got to teach them.
They got to warm up to it.
Got to warm up to it. They will.
I'm super introverted, so if I can do it, they can do it, man.
Most reptile people are. So I think if it's just a
We gotta do
conversation,
different stuff,
got to do it. Yeah. All right. Over and out.